Hey there guys, how's it going? So the new Marluxia medal came out about 15 minutes ago in the Japanese version, and we're just sort of figuring out what it does now. I've seen a few conflicting reports, but I'm fairly certain that there's been a couple mistranslation errors. Just to set that record straight, Marluxia gives you +7 general attack, +7 speed-based attack, and +3 reverse-based strength at 6 stars, +6 reverse-based strength at 7 stars. It only does -4 general defense, not -4 PSM defense. But the really interesting thing is, it does it to every single target on the field simultaneously, even though it's a random target medal, and it only does one hit, meaning it can only deal damage to one enemy at a time. It's got a pretty cool animation. Definitely check out either Endorphin or I'm sure Lost by now. Definitely got their showcase videos up, so that if you want to see how it actually works, go have a look. I'm sure the animation is pretty friggin' awesome. The buffs last 2 turns, which means it's pretty cool in PvP. You can apply, general attack is obviously very, very important, and reverse-based attack, very, very important, and speed-based, well, obviously pretty crucial to 1/3 of the medals you're going to be using. You can sort of get those buffs off without needing to reapply them in the second and third turn. It's a pretty cool idea for a medal. I think I'm going to go ahead and pull for it, depending on how the banner turns out in the global version, but I'm probably going to go ahead and grab it just because it's a pretty cool medal, and it will probably be pretty cheap. So the banner works in the Japanese version like it did for last month with Luxord. Essentially, it wasn't a falling price steal in the Japanese version, it was only a... Well, it was a 5 pull mercy steal, and it had every single pull costing you 3,000 jewels. So in total, it would cost you 15,000 again. The only difference is every single pull you did would give you 3 jewels of that medal's type. So in Luxord's case, you spent your 15k, but you also got 15 magic gems for your jewels as well. And I was like, that's pretty great. That's pretty freaking great. Like, I really despise the banners in the global version. You may have heard me express that displeasure before. But if you're gonna go ahead and spend 15k, I'd probably rather do that, spend 15k, get the medal anyway, but then also get 15 gems to go along with that, then spend 11.5 and only really get that medal and some other useless crap that goes along with it. I don't know, that's personal preference, but if they go ahead and implement that in the global version this month, I wouldn't be too unhappy about that. I think I'd be pretty happy, to be honest. In terms of the multiplier, it's pretty solid. It's not the strongest medal in the game by any stretch of the imagination, but let's go ahead and pull the graph up here. Now, unfortunately, I've been lazy again, and I haven't actually gone ahead and put the medal in, but if you go ahead and zoom into where Sykes is right there, let's go ahead and zoom him in. So, effectively, Sykes has roughly the same multiplier, so you can see it's in pretty good company with some of the strongest medals in the entire game. The current king right now is still Luxor Plus when he hits a crit 50% of the time, but it's in pretty good company at the very, very top there. Hopefully you can see Sykes. So, it's one single random target hit is actually stronger than Sephiroth, Riku, and KHUx 19 at their strongest against only one target, which is pretty impressive. Guaranteed it's, one hit and going to go off every single time. High score challenges, amazing. Even, single target applications, random target applications, still pretty freaking amazing. Not quite as strong as the high score challenge medal, slightly above it, but far and away superior buffs, and only a slightly lower multiplier. All in all, a very, very, very solid medal. In terms of the challenge, I want to say I friggin' nailed this one. I was talking to the guys on Discord, I think last week, or at least over a week ago, and I was like, well, if Luxord's gimmick was that it was forced random target, I wonder if Marluxia's would be forced Divine Rose. And they're like, yeah, it could be. And I was like, oh yeah, you never know. And then both versions of the game got a Divine Rose booster last night, and I was like, this sounds like it's going to be confirmed. And then sure enough, you are locked into using Divine Rose for Marluxia's challenge, which might be scary for quite a few people. It's quite scary for me, honestly, because this challenge is total KHUx 19 bait, and basically buy Marluxia bait, which on one hand, I'm like, okay, well, at least it shows the developers are paying attention to the game and throwing in banners that, okay, I want to beat this content, I'll be rewarded 5,000 jewels if I do beat the content, so that's encouraging me to do a pull, trying to get KHUx 19, trying to get Marluxia, rather than just, whatever, put any random medal, in the banners right now, some of which will have no help whatsoever. Like Luxord, for example, they didn't offer what? There was VIP with random target medals in it, but there was no other random target medals to be found. It was like, okay, well, if you're a brand new player, you were screwed. You had literally no alternatives. You couldn't do any part of the content. At least here it's like, okay, you'd have to buy your way to do it, but theoretically you could buy your way into completing this content, which is kind of the point of a gacha game. So in any case, I'm happy that they're at least paying attention. From what I've heard though, the event is insanely freaking difficult. Even if you do buy Marluxia, there are plenty of enemies with tiny counters on their heads, so I don't know how this is going to go. I'm a bit concerned about my own setups, to be perfectly honest with you, but hey, I guess we'll see this time tomorrow. What I'm really, really excited for, when Marluxia, or Illustrated Marluxia, the VIP medal, was released in JP, he was released at the same time that Laurium was introduced into the story. I got my fingers crossed because we are due for a new story update in Japan any day now, that given that there's a Marluxia medal in the shop, that would be a perfect time to reintroduce Laurium and all the other new Union leaders into the story and be like, hey, this is what they've been up to in the last pretty much year. We haven't really seen any of them in the last year, so I've really got my fingers crossed on that front for, well, Union Cross, basically. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys. Are you keen? What are you most keen for? Like, well, A, are you going to pull this medal? B, are you keen to, well, are you keen to have it? Are you keen for the challenge, the 5,000 jewels? Excited, worried? Or are you keen for the story? I'm honestly, at this point, pretty all in on the story. And honestly, if you guys have seen less content from me lately, that's because I'm trying to do more story videos. Honestly, that's, I don't know, I got a really awesome response from the first one, and I want to keep going with that, basically. It's been a lot of fun. Anyway, let me know, guys. I'll see you really soon, and yeah, we'll do the challenge in about 15 hours. So yeah, thanks, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.